All right, so the word on the street is that there was a falling out with players and Taylor Jenkins. In cases of superstars versus coaches, superstars always win in the NBA. They make the world go round, so they usually should. There ain't a superstar in sight in Memphis, though, so I guess just regular stars are over coaches too. If I had to guess, this isn't reported by anyone, but there's logic behind it. Jaw is probably at the root of this. The lack of pick and roll hurts his production the most, and he's the face of the team, so he has, the most sway. He has the highest potential based on what he's been in the past. In saying that, though, this year he's been Memphis's second or arguably even third best player. Desmond Bain putting up some less points, but doing so much more efficiently, providing desperately needed spacing, being a better defender, being bigger, so he's more versatile on defense. Either way, there's some kind of logic behind listening to Jaw, but to me, there's not enough. The 2 years of Jaw being a superstar are likely gone. It's year 6, and dude still can't shoot, like, at all. He has a worse 3-point percentage than Draymond Green. There's other ways to illustrate that. It's so bad, but that's one that really stood out to me in a funny way. And, he's no longer the athlete to compensate for it. The days of him just, yamming on 5 dudes at one time, basically every other game, that's just not occurring anymore. So, even with Jaw being pretty washed at the age of 25, relative to the rest of the league, this is the best offensive rating the Grizzlies team has had in their entire history, dating back to 1996-97. I've heard a lot that the lack of pick and roll hurts Jaw. I haven't heard anything about it helping lead scorer of the team, mind you, Jaren Jackson Jr., best player on the team. In saying that, Jaren Jackson Jr. should, at best be the offense's number 2. And in an absolutely ideal world, you're really competing for a championship, he's your number 3 guy, not your number 1. So, there's the big trouble for this team. Their lead scorer should be their 3rd lead scorer. They don't have, Jaw's production. Even with him being inefficient, he's not producing points. Defensively, they've been struggling a lot lately. I do accept that. Overall, though, they're 3rd out of 6 in defensive ratings relative to other teams in Jenkins' 6 years. And that's as Dylan Brooks has been replaced functionally by Jalen Wells, who's bad at defense and is a true shooting guard that's, kind of being entrusted to be a small forward, even though he's a little bit small for it, both in height and weight compared to Brooks. He's only an inch shorter, but he's 20 pounds lighter than Brooks, and is just overall a way worse defender than Brooks. Even if Brooks wasn't actually like this complete shutdown stopper, he was, far and away their best wing defender, and he's gone. Relatedly, there isn't a single primary small forward on this team, per basketball reference. Also, the backcourt is small, with 6'5" Desmond Bain being the big guard. Dude is absolutely jacked. I'm not going to deny that. But, at the end of the day, height does matter, wingspan does matter. He's a small guard for, being the tall guard on the team. And, being one of the taller smalls on the team in general. Jaren Jackson Jr., he's great defensively, just great overall. He's one of the league's best defenders. But he's the only true positive that gets serious minutes. And one of the only true positives in general, aside for Scottie Pippen Jr. and Brandon Clark, those are, you know, point guard, that's pretty small, and power forward, that's kind of in between positions, not really, truly anything, but power forward is what he is most. Jaren Jackson Jr. also, more of a power forward than center, but is playing center a lot. True negatives on defense. This is a John Morant heat tour. Morant is a negative on defense, and he's small. Wells is a negative, and Kennard is also a negative. Arguably, Zach Edey is too, since he needs to be protected so much. He can patrol the paint pretty all right and hold up against post ups, but that's not the entire aspect of being a good big defender these days. So them being 20th for a stretch in defense, I think it might be since the All-Star break. I forget exactly what the time frame is. That's pretty understandable. The defenders on this team, they tend to suck. There's not a way around that. And also, again, the team makes absolutely no sense. It's entirely predicated on bigs and small guards. There's not a true primary wing defender, which kills versatility. That hurts switching because you don't have a guy that can switch 1 through 5 like that. Jackson Jr. can do that, but you also want him, being a paint patroller. So, he can't do everything at the same time. And the lack of wing defenders, it just absolutely lets opposing stars shine because, there's lots of good wings, there's lots of good shooting guards. Heck, there's lots of good point guards that, you can put a small forward on. And of course, power forwards and just switching in general. There's lots of stars that just go completely, unevaded to success because Memphis just doesn't even have a small forward on their team. So you could argue playoff losses are, or just lack of success in the playoffs, more maybe astutely, are, why this happened. But why wait until this part of the regular season, not the playoffs, the regular season, to determine that? Did it just occur to Grizzlies managers like, hey, we haven't achieved as much as we want. Let's get rid of the coach. Let's see what that does. Realizing, from years ago that they haven't done as much as they want. But in reality, anyways, the playoff losses make sense. In 2021, they lost to the number 1 seed in the West as a number 8. In 2022, they lost to league champion Golden State in 6. It wasn't like they just got, absolutely smacked around. They lost to Golden State in the longest series of their run. Same as a better, much better, mind you, Boston team got out of Golden State. That Boston team, much better than that Memphis team. In 2023, they lost to, you could argue this one a little bit, but they lost to a more playoff built and prepared LA team, being the Lakers, in 6. You can definitely say, the better team was Memphis. They had more talent. So, that's one strike against Jenkins, but like one strike doesn't really, to me, provoke this because he has been, their most successful coach in their history. And you're getting rid of him for a guy that, just wants to run more pick and roll seemingly, which is like, not anything innovative. I have heard that he's a creative mind, but like I've also heard that he wants to run pick and roll, which like, every single coach does. So either way, the Grizzlies lost in 6, put up a fight again to the Lakers. And in that series, both Desmond Bane and John Morant were outplayed by Anthony Davis and LeBron James, respectively. So, what do we expect Jenkins to do? In 2023, were we expecting him to, get out on the court and set Morant up and get Bane some open looks to, get them going and not be outplayed by Davis and LeBron? I don't. At the end of the day, he's just a coach. And, that's part of why this isn't like the absolute craziest thing, because in the NBA, coaches are just quickly discarded and, they're not quite as valuable as like NFL coaches. But that also is true in the reverse side, where he's just a coach. His two best, at least offensive players, arguably his two best players in general at the time, Desmond Bane and John Morant, being outplayed by Anthony Davis and LeBron James. That's pretty hard to, have playoff success that way. So, especially true with, again, the team not making the most sense structurally. You have Ja being outplayed on offense and a lot on defense by two players. In the playoffs, having the best player means a lot. Having the two best players in the series, that means a lot. So I think this is pretty ridiculous, and I think this is them just trying to appease, you know, a star player perhaps over a coach, which usually I'm fine with, as again, the players are the ones that really pull the weight in NBA teams. But this just doesn't logically check out with me. Those are my thoughts on the Taylor Jenkins firing. Be sure to let me know what yours are in the comment section. And also be sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content.